You need a chair to start with, and you can do this on your desk chair, you can do it on a sofa, you can do it wherever you want. But the reason why we're starting this session on a chair is because this is where you're going to be for the bulk of your day if you're working at a desk. So these are really obvious things, not obvious necessarily, but really easy things that you can add into your day, into your lunch break, just to give you a little bit of stability, awareness, strength in your lower back, and also importantly in your core. Now it's really important to caveat this session by saying back care is like talking about world hunger. You know, it's huge. The subject is massive. There's no way we can cover everything in the next 20 minutes. So be aware if you are suffering with pain in your lower back, debilitating chronic pain in your lower back, see your GP. If you are someone that's sitting at a desk all day, just finding that you're aching in your back, or you're finding your shoulders are rolling forward, then this is the session for you, and you can absolutely try these things. But please be aware that if it's more than that or more sinister than that, then get some help. I'm not here to diagnose or cure. I'm just here to kind of give you some tips, give you some ideas. So sitting right on the edge of your chair, caveat out of the way, feet flat on the ground, hip distance. And we're just going to start here by taking some shoulder rolls. Now, we do a lot of stuff sitting on the floor in Pilates, and often people find that quite difficult because they can't get this lifted position when their legs are out in front of them. They can't get to the sit bones. So I want you to wiggle around and feel the bony bit. You might need to lift your bottom and move it out of the way, but feel that bony bit on the edge of the chair. That's what you're trying to replicate when you're on the ground, on the mat. And you can do all of these exercises on the mat as well. But we're going to roll those shoulders. And as we're doing that, we're just trying to kind of lengthen the spine. So really reach out through the crown of the head. What we don't want to do when we lengthen is pop out through the chest. Lots of people do that and they kind of extend and they think military and army and, you know, this kind of posture. We don't want that. We want those ribs in. Okay, so everything's pulling to center, waist and spine, belly and pelvic floor, all draw into this central point. And I want you to really think of that corset around your tummy as you lift up nice and tall. You can do a couple of shoulder rolls just to open up through the chest. Find some space there. And just take a couple of big breaths here, lifting up through the crown of the head. Now, when you're ready, keep your hands attached to your thighs. I just want you to draw your belly button into your spine and tuck your tail underneath. So you will round your spine as a consequence, but the movement is a pelvic shift. It's hip bones coming up, tailbones coming under, and then we lift back up to a flat back. Keep going like that. It's a small movement, round and lift. Leading with the belly. Use an exhale if you can, and that will help you to pick up pelvic floor and scoop into these lower abdominals, and then lift up tall, shoulders down. Now make sure when you do this that what a lot of people do is when they're rounding their spine, particularly if you're tight through your lower back, they go like this and they collapse through the upper back because that's what they're comfortable with. You know, that's the shape that you're used to creating. You want to imagine that you've got a rod across the front of your chest here. So these shoulders cannot fall forwards. They have to stay open. So we round, but we keep those shoulders under control. Therefore, all of the work is coming from the tummy. So not only are we finding space and a little bit of movement in the lower back, but primarily and most importantly, we're finding connection in the tummy. Most of the time, when there's a discomfort or a pain, it's two things, tightness and weakness. Usually weak core muscles and tight surrounding muscles create this pulling sensation on the back. Particularly if you're sitting all day, you'll find your hamstrings are tight and weak, belly's weak, lower back is long, shoulders are hunched forwards. So we want to kind of try and get out of those positions today, and we're going to do a bit of that in a second. So just mobilizing this lower back, keeping the chest open. You can start to think of your breath. If you want to incorporate that, it would be an exhale to round and an inhale to lift. Let's do just one more like this. And then you're going to sit nice and tall. You're going to place your hands over your chest. So you're thinking here like you're trying to puff your chest up into your ribs. Again, not military. We're not here. We still want those ribs to be just tucked in, but we want that kind of open chest. Plant your feet, strong tummy, connect your corset, And then when you're ready, you're just going to take a little hinge backwards and then a little hinge forwards. Now, importantly, differently to the previous exercise, for this hinge, we want complete stability through the spine. So we're not moving, we're not rounding, we're not arching or collapsing. We're keeping these quite small, but we're imagining that the back is a plank of wood and you're just hinging forwards and hinging backwards. I quite often like to imagine, do you remember the 1 inch meter rulers that they used to have in school? I quite often imagine that I've got one of those strapped to my spine or attached to my back. So as I move, I'm moving with that ruler. I'm not trying to round away from it. I can't push it away. I've got to keep moving with it. Now take your arms to the side for the next ones. Let's keep that chest open though. Allow your eye line to move with your spine, because if you try and keep your eye line still, you'll see what happens. You end up rounding and arching, and it creates this kind of ripple effect of movement through the spine. We want the eye line to travel up as we go back and travel down as we go forwards. Now on your next one, you're going to take this forwards and hold it here. Now, can you check that can you have your arms by your side, turn your palms forwards? Can you feel how that opens your chest? Draw your belly into your spine, really pull it in. Lift through pelvic floor and lengthen the crown of the head. You want to think of your ribs lifting towards the wall in front of you. Now hold here, palms forwards. We're going to open those arms. This is a little hinge, so the back extensors are having to work quite hard to hold us here, but we want to really support them by engaging that corset. So draw your tummy to your center. Imagine doing yourself up into that tight pair of jeans, so that as you move the arms like this, you are also keeping strong connections in your corset. And can you really focus on the corset more than the moving arms? Keep going here. If you want to, you could go an inch further forwards. We have got 4 and down. Now remember that rod of steel across the chest that we talked about? Can you keep that nice and open? 2 and last one, and back to center, lifting tall. Pause here, take your hands to your temples. I'm going to twiddle around so that you can see this front on. Hands to temples, shoulders down. So making sure in this position that, again, you haven't pushed out through the ribs. Now those arms are up, we need to make sure that we can keep the shoulders down. Anchor your sit bones to your chair, and you're just going to twist your spine. So you turn to one side, don't lead with the elbows, lead with the ribs, and back to center. Turn the other way, keep those shoulders down and back to center. Now keep going. If this is too uncomfortable with the arms up, then just move the arms with you. Let them reach around and then go the other way. Let them reach round. Now what this will do is potentially move you a bit further. So you need to be careful when you're doing this, if you've got free arms, that you keep your sit bones anchored to the floor. What we don't want is this kind of slide of the legs happening. We want to keep the lower body still, upper body free. Now, one of the things, like I said, that can cause lower back pain is tightness. And rotation and flexion are probably the 2 movements, lateral flexion, the 2 things we don't do enough of. So we're going to get really good rotation here, turning those ribs. Imagine that torchlight on the front of the chest, just spinning from side to side. Keep your corset done up tight. Can you lift your spine any taller? Let's go 1 more each way, and then we're going to pause back at center, and we're going to take it from here, and we're going to take one arm down, lift up through the other. Now, in this position, as we slide over, anchor down through that hip. Don't let the hip go too, because you lose the stretch. You need to anchor and then lift away from it. Reach up and over to the side. You can support yourself with the hand, and then you can go, 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 go. And then come all the way back up again. Place the hand down, lift up. Come all the way over to the side. Go, 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 go. Can you reach down through that hip? And all the way back up and over. Let's go again, 1 more each side. So we're now laterally flexing. This is always described by me as the stretch you didn't know you needed. You get into this and think, oh my God, it's tight, my ribs are tight. And pause there. Now, we're going to come back to that in a second. Let's come down onto the mat for a moment though. So I'm going to get rid of my chair. Join me lying down on your back. So we're going to do a couple of things now for stability. So we're kind of switching on the tummy, stabilizing the spine, and working the surrounding muscles so that we can get out of the back doing everything. Take a moment here, relax your shoulders. Can you just breathe and just let them go? 9 times out of 10, you will be tense. You'll be holding something there. So just let them go. And if that might mean you need to take your arms wider, you might need to turn your palms up. All of those things will help just to relax. Now, in this position, I want you to bring your hips, so you're resting on your tail at the moment. Could you bring your hips 5% closer to your ribs? So you're closing this gap just ever so slightly. It's not a big difference. Visually, I suspect it looks no different. It should look no different. But intentionally and in the way it feels, it will feel entirely different. So you should feel now in this position, because you're holding this shape, that you've got really good awareness of the tummy. We're not specifically working on activating core today, so refer back if you're not sure about exactly how to do that. But just take a couple of breaths, exhale, and really feel those muscles kind of knitting together at the front here. Can you feel on your exhale that your pelvic floor just starts to engage? Check your legs at hip distance and parallel. Make sure you haven't sunk to the floor. You should still have this gap in the lower back. And just hold that 5%. We're going to call it a 5% connection for the next few minutes. Relax your shoulders, press your feet to the floor. When you're ready, with that 5% connection, can you engage your legs, squeeze your bottom, and lift your hips up? So we're coming straight up, holding the 5%. So you've still got belly awareness at the top, and then straight back down. Let those ribs go with you. Can you keep those chests open? Don't connect into the shoulders. Don't let the shoulders do this. There's enough going on in the lower body. We don't need shoulders. They'll try and get involved, but we don't need them. So keep that little tuck, keep tummy tight, press up and control down. Strong and long through the spine. We're pressing up and we're controlling down, chest proud. Can you take 2 more like this? Keeping that corset tight. Can you feel the belly pulling to center? Could you squeeze yourself into that Boxing Day pair of jeans a little bit more? Could you do up that buckle and hold it down up as you lift and lower? Let's take 1 more. Make sure that rib cage goes with you. Remember that little 5%? So you move as a plank. So you come down straight onto the tailbone. Hold it here. Anchor onto your tailbone. Hold that 5%. When you're ready, you're going to bring a leg to tabletop. Bring the knee a little bit closer if that feels vulnerable, and then bring the second leg up. Now hold here. Bring your arms to your ceiling. Hold it. If you can, we're going to start with just legs. It's an exhale. Lower the leg down. Remember that 5%? You still want that here. And bring it back up. Other side, we tap and bring it up. Now hold the 5%. And the reason why I keep going on about this is that I don't want your back to be holding your legs up. I want your tummy to be holding them up. So it's always useful just to take you very slightly out of neutral, just so you can really start to build up some strength in the tummy. Because very often in neutral, if people are really dominant in their lower backs, neutral can exacerbate that, particularly when the legs are off the floor. So that little 5%, or even bringing the knees ever so slightly closer, just takes a little bit of the weight out of it. It makes you connect into the front of the body, so you've got strength coming into the tummy, and hopefully it switches off the lower back. But if the lower back feels this, then my advice would be start with the feet down, and instead of the lowerings, do a single leg lift. Okay, exactly the same focus. 5% connection, strong tummy. Now, if this is all okay for you and you're happy in tabletop, then I would bring the legs up, hold them here, and we're going to do opposite arm as well. So this is your dead bug. We open on the exhale, we close on the inhale. Now your exhale is the perfect environment for strong connecting abdominal muscles. So as we open here, we are using that exhale to support the load. We're supporting the breath. The breath is supporting the moving arms and legs. Exhale, open, inhale back up. And so much of back care is core strengthening. Unfortunately, you can't get away with it. So much of it is finding strength in that center to support your body, is releasing the lower back and giving it less to do. Let's take another 2 here. and last one. And then just take one leg down, grab hold of the other one, back of the thigh, anchor the tail, and we're going to lift that leg up. Now don't worry if it doesn't go straight, but do keep a good grip. Flex your foot and release down. We go up, flex and release. Keep going. Lift, flex, release. Strong in that tummy. Try and get your tail onto the ground. Make sure that your hips haven't wriggled around and they're square. So 5% maybe, or neutral on your tail if you can. Try and get your shoulders to the ground. Can you take the tension out of the shoulders and just hold the back of the leg in the position that it sits in with your shoulders down? It will mean more of a stretch. But this is a dynamic stretch. This is using front muscle to stretch back muscle. Let's do this last one. Hold it here and we're just going to flex and point. Now if you're desk based, very often the muscles down the back of the leg and the back of the knee get tight. So as you flex and point like this, you're probably feeling a bit of a pull down the back of the knee. That's absolutely fine. That's what we're looking for. We want to stretch that area because that area will be pulling on your lower back if it's tight. Okay, so it's a quick fix. Hamstrings, stretching hamstrings can be a really quick win. Last one here, relax down. Take the other leg in. So we lengthen, flex, and release. Okay, so it's fairly simple stretch, but how often are you doing it? If you're desk-based, you should be doing it every day, to keep the backs of the legs nice and long. Because the problem is, if those muscles are short, not only is that not optimum and it's going to pull your pelvis, but also it's not the best position for them to be in terms of strengthening them. So those muscles can get a little bit tight and then not so reactive. So not great for balance, not great for mobility, not great for core, not great for back pain. So we want to keep stretching and mobilizing all the time. Last one here, hold it here. Let's just flex and point for a few. Let's go 3, 2, is your tail down, 1, and rest down. Come all the way up. We're going to come up to sitting very quickly into a side position, this kind of staggered leg position. Hand down either side, opposite arm up to a T. Now push this hip away, doesn't need to be on the floor, but lengthen it away. Strong tummy, ribs in, chest open. Now in this position again, we want to rotate the spine. So we're just going to turn. We're going to keep the shoulders back, rotate round. So we get a little bit of mobility through the lower back. We get some stretch through the upper back. And most importantly, we get some rotation in the spine. Again, rotation, I always feel like it's the thing that we didn't know we need. We do so little of it in day-to-day life, but it's the thing that most people do and go, oh, that feels nice. It's very energizing, really gives you a boost. And at the end of a session of rotation, you always feel loads freer. Pause here, take the hands down and take a big stretch over. Reaching out through that top arm. Take a moment, breathe deeply and widely into the side of the ribs. And release there. Spin those legs round. Other side, like I say, very energizing. So if you're having a day where you just feel stressed, tight, overworked, underappreciated, take some rotation. It's going to be the quick fix we all need. But really and truly, it is energizing. It's just great for blood flow. The sort of tension that builds up in the spine can be tiring, can be really fatiguing. So getting that space is always a good idea. It's never wasted. Take it over, take hold of that opposite shin. And again, we go for that side stretch. Again, reaching out through the top arm, nice and strong, down through the hip. And then relax there, coming over onto your hands and knees. This is our final section. So 4 point, just 2 very, very basic exercises that I think will help you. The first one, again, is core connection, but this time against gravity. So imagine that we've got a 9-month pregnant belly or a big heavy bowling ball attached to our tummies. We're going to let that bowling ball drop. So we really feel the belly let go. Try not to let the spine go too. We don't want to collapse. We want to be pressing the floor away and long through the spine. Don't let the head hang. Remember, neck is part of your spine. And we're going to inhale, relax the belly. Exhale, pull it up into the spine. Inhale, relax. Exhale, pull it up. Feel all the muscles surround that bowling ball and hug it in. One more, relax. This time, exhale, pull it up. And this time, can you make the spine go with it? Remember not to collapse through the chest. Can you tuck from the tail first? The head will follow. Hold it here. And then release back to a flat back. Pause in your flat back, stable spine, bowling ball in place, and just hinge back. Lead with the bottom, straight forward. One more time. All the way back, all the way forward. Let's go rounding again. Into cat, tuck. All the way. Now can we come all the way forwards into our cow? So we open the chest, stick the bottom out. Don't let go of that bowling ball. Find your way to your flat back neutral and hinge. 2 and forwards. Don't round. 1. Lead with those sit bones like spokes. One more time. We round, scoop that tummy. We extend and open. Lengthen the sit bones away. Don't drop the belly. Come to your flat back. You're still holding that bowling ball. We go back 2 times. Sit bones are like spokes poking behind you. 1 and 2. Pause in your 4-point position. Let's take a wag. So we're going to send the tail one way and look back. And then send the tail the other way and look back. Keep going like this. We've got 3. And other side. And 2. And other side. And last one. Other side. Take it to center. Lift that bowling ball. Take your left leg back. Right arm forwards. Keep them on the floor. Strong tummy. We're lifting up and down. So this is core stability. Straight up and down. If this is too wobbly, do just a single leg. Forget the arm. But square off that pelvis. Shoulders back. Bowling ball lifted. One more. Take it in. So core stability, spinal stability. Other side. It's also teaching the limbs to move independently of the lower back. We lift up for 5. Because every time a limb moves, we don't want that wear and tear. So we need the stability in the center. And we've got 2. Lift that bowling ball. Hug it in. Last one. Draw it in. Now take your knees wide, your feet together. Sit your bottom back. Now, conversation for another day, but rest your head down onto your hands. Take a couple of breaths here. Now, it's a conversation for another day because it's very pelvic floor related, but one of the things that I've noticed with ladies is very often if your pelvic floor is a bit tight, that can be quite stressful for the lower back. It can, holding that kind of gripping sensation can keep some tension in the lower back. So releasing pelvic floor or making sure that the pelvic floor has the ability to release is really important. So we're going to take a couple of inhale breaths, and when you inhale, feel like you're in a birthing position and your pelvis is broadening. You're going to try and let go of that area. Think of breathing deeply into the belly, directing your inhale breath into that pelvis. And it has to be the inhale because your pelvic floor and your diaphragm work together as a team. One goes down, the other goes down. So as we inhale and the pelvic floor or the diaphragm descends, so does the pelvic floor. So we let it release and relax. And I think, honestly, for a lower back, you need it to do both. You need it to engage and release. It needs to be moving and responding and reacting. And pelvic floor for lower back pain is one of the probably the most, probably the thing that we don't do enough of in terms of looking at it as a reason, a possible reason. So when you've done your next breath and you've just sunk your body down a little bit more, you can bring yourself up to sitting and you are all done.